What happened? I don't know. This computer is made of old parts and is not super reliable. One of two things happened. Either Windows Update tried to start and completely locked everything down, required a hard reset, or it overheated. So in order to counter the overheating problem, I now have the front of the case open, and that should help a lot if that is the issue. Oh, but we do need to open the new YouTube stream. Yeah, it has two side-by-side ones. I hate it when this happens. There we go. Oh, hello there. Here, that is saved live. Hello, everybody. We are back, and Matatiahu, I read that message in chat quickly and wrongly, and read, "Oh, everybody, shit quick, shit your pants fast." Stream is restored. All is right with the universe. Talking about how the American education system doesn't teach the colonial history of MILFs. True. Unironically true, by the way. My partner loves like the history of like sex workers and stuff, and it is fascinating to learn about. Just do my own little battle music over here.
Stupid. In case people forget, I started on the left, right?
Yeah.
So if you found me in college, you would have found a pro-life person who believed, in some racist principles, fundamental racism in America, because that was what I was being taught systematically
Yes.
in the classroom. And then I got to grow up and change my mind. And I don't think people have thought past their immediate emotions to consider what's going to happen when you put these kids on blacklist. You think that's going to bring them over to the pro-Israel side when they get older? Most of these kids, especially when you're talking about the cream of the crop at these Ivy League universities, already have access to money and wealth and connections. And so maybe debating the issues and explaining to them why it was wrong to sign this specific letter, which didn't call for explicit violence against the Israelis, but it actually was very poorly timed, and it blamed them for what happened,
Yes.
which would have been horrific. Imagine after 9/11, somebody issues a letter on college campus that says, "Oh well, sorry about the fire department."
I agree.
Yeah,
I get why donors are mad.
Imagine, yeah.
By the way, I support donors giving money to things they agree with.
Yes,
Okay, but to be 100% clear, the powers that be in Israel know that the apartheid oppression of Palestinians is unsustainable, and yet they continue to do it for their own immediate political gain. Again, point in fact, Benjamin Netanyahu explicitly funding Hamas, and again being quoted as saying, if you are against a Palestinian state, you should be for funding Hamas. So, yeah. I was watching Hunter Avalon's appearance on Jubilee while I waited. He has been going through a period of like big misses lately, like regarding like trans people. That was my impression anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm glad he's been doing something pretty based. I still don't understand that table. Look, LB, Tucker Carlson is a man of the people. Clearly he went out into the woods out there and chopped down this tree and made it into a table. He's just a hard-working wood man. He's a hardwood man, really. Haven't paid attention to him since he shared Keffel's docs. Yeah, he's been doing some stuff.
I strongly do.
Yep.
The part that, and so I had no problem with that at all.
Same.
You don't like it, don't pay for it. Good for you. However, then I thought, well, wait a second. If the biggest donors at, say, Harvard have decided, well, we're going to shut it down now, where were you the last 10 years when they were calling for white genocide? You were allowing this. And then I found myself really hating those people.
Now, you have to understand what Tucker Carlson is doing here. When Tucker Carlson's mainly conservative audience hears big donors at Ivy League school, right? They think globalist elite. When they think globalist elite, they think Jews. Okay? To be very clear here, this is him being able to, in a roundabout way, say that he has a real grievance against Jewish people, and that real grievance has metastasized into a righteous hatred of them. And this is all obscured by like several different dog whistles at the same time. But I think it is dog whistles that the audience Tucker Carlson has cultivated absolutely picks up on, or at least a very large and not insubstantial portion of his audience. Because again, he's now doing this on Twitter, and his audience isn't the people who watch mainstream Fox News anymore. And again, he's the guy who personally hired multiple white supremacists to write for his show. I mean, dude is this is intentional, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Actually, that you're okay with that? On what grounds were you okay with that?
And this is what I've been trying to explain to the pro-Israel lobby, that what you were seeing as lack of support is people that are asking the question is, where were you as we have endured all of this?
You were paying for it, actually.
Right.
You were paying for it.
You were paying for it.
You were calling my children immoral for their skin color. You paid for that.
And
so why shouldn't I be mad at you? I don't understand.
And so that is, obviously you have a ton of white people that are asking this question, and they're now being called anti-Semitic. And I think that that's wrong. I think these are meaningful questions that deserve to be answered. Why was this sort of verbiage allowed into the curriculum? I mean, could you imagine if in the curriculum it said that every Jewish person born is a terrorist? This is systematically what has been said.
I would be totally opposed to that.
You're learning this, not even just, by the way, at the college campus level, in high schools. I've covered this on my show. At high schools, that they are now allowing children to stand up in an auditorium during, not Black Lives Matter week, during, what is February? Whole month of February, African American month. Black History Month.
Black History.
I was like totally blanking. I'm like, what is February? Black History Month. They were allowing at this very elite school $50,000 per month to attend this school, per year to attend this school, for these children to stand up on a stage and yell in an auditorium. Black kids were allowed to be on the stage. White kids were sitting down at this elite school, and they said, you don't know what we lived through. You don't understand how your whiteness impacts me. This is going on in New York City right now. That is.
By the way, I do really love that she's complaining about the curriculum of a private school. Again, Candace Owens is explicitly in favor of private schools. Tucker Carlson, explicitly in favor of private schools. In a public school, you would not be able to have a curriculum like this that includes... and by the way, this is me granting that this is a real anecdote, which I'm not at all sure of at all, but granting that, all of this is happening at a private school where people pay $50,000 to send their children. And this is the system they argue for every day. If you want private schools, you're going to get those left-leaning private schools. Like that is going to happen, actually. And obviously the solution here should be to get rid of private schools and only have public schools, frankly.
Explicit anti-white racism that is happening. And I covered it on my show extensively. Nobody cared. There was no bus calling these kids anything wrong. And so trying to explain that of why people maybe are not reacting with the amount of vigor that you would like to see is now being interpreted as anti-Semitism. So everyone's being called anti-Semitism.
It's a little bit like watching the city of San Francisco in the week before Xi Jinping shows up become totally clean, sparkling clean. There are no junkies or rapists on the street. And you feel like asking the authorities, well, wait, you had the power to do this, but you didn't? You had the power to stop racism at Harvard, but you didn't? Why are you not a criminal, actually?
Right.
React harder. Wait. Do they assume private schools automatically equals rightoid? Honestly, yes, because the vast majority of private schools are religious schools. And as far as like the San Francisco thing, like yeah, cops have always been able to just like sweep through streets and like corral homeless people and throw them in jail or push them outside of the city limits and give them a bus ticket. Like that happens literally all the time. As for like wandering rapists, I don't think any city in America generally just allow. Oh, that guy over there who's walking down the street. Yeah, that's our local wandering rapist. No, that doesn't happen. Okay.
For allowing that, I don't have you asked anybody this? Like direct? Have you asked a donor this? I've been trying to get one on the show. I support what you're doing. It's great. Don't pay for what you don't like. But you did like the white genocide stuff. You're kind of okay with that, huh?
Right. And I've even asked, did you use your platform to speak out against it? Because I've been speaking out.
Again, Tucker Carlson talking about white genocide and moneyed interests teaching children to hate white people.
Against this for years, and now you're demanding that I use my platform to focus on a conflict that's overseas.
Yeah.
And the answer I tend to get is no. I didn't talk about what was happening. I didn't realize it was happening. So it actually is quite a selfish viewpoint, which we all have. We're all guilty of.
Oh,
I get it. We write ourselves into the storyline. How is this going to impact me? And that is, I think, is why it feels existential for other people and not existential for people that have been dealing with this for the last decade.
I know, but it's a pretty simple principle that, existed at 54, I can tell you, in this country for a long time, certainly from, say, the Civil Rights Act until, 15 years ago. You're not allowed to attack people on the basis of their race in public. I mean, everybody has bigoted views, probably.
Holy shit. Oh my god. I'm just gonna play that again. I actually can't believe he just outright said that.
But it's a pretty simple principle that, existed at 54, I can tell you, in this country for a long time, certainly from, say, the Civil Rights Act until, 15 years ago. You're not allowed to attack people on the basis of their race in public. I mean, everybody has bigoted views, probably.
So, people publicly attacked other people in the United States since the Civil Rights Act all the time. All the time. There was public racism all the time. What are you talking about, dog? Second of all, everyone has bigoted views. Probably. That sounds like something a bigot would say, actually. But you know what's really interesting to me, right? Tucker Carlson will say, everyone has bigoted views, probably, but then talk about how there's no, internalized racism. That racism isn't an issue in America. Or he'll talk about how, or at least racism isn't an issue in America unless it's against white people. And, he'll acknowledge that. He'll say everyone's probably a little bit racist, but then never connect that idea to how then could systematically a thing be racist. Well, the thing is, if enough people with these biases are at work, the cumulative effect of those biases can be a systemic bias, a bias within the system that is then biased against a certain group of people. That's what systemic bias is. And that is something that can be both formalized in the letter of the law or informalized in the actual practice of it. So, like, that's the thing. But, he'll also just be like, yeah, everyone's secretly super racist, right?
Or thinks their group is best or whatever. It's pretty normal. But you're not allowed to say, I don't.
It's pretty normal to think your group is best, huh? Everything Republicans do, everything conservatives do in media is projection. Oh my goodness. It's very normal to be racist towards everyone outside of your own racial group. What? Come again?
I don't like you because
it is a self-report. It's 10,000% a self-report.
Your race? Like you are not allowed to do that. Why can't we just return to that standard? I'm missing it.
Right. And this has been a dialogue that I think some of us have been having for years. Some people are just now jumping into this dialogue. And I don't fault them, their emotion, but I'm not going to become a radical and rise to that level of emotion. I think my takes have been very moderate. Even people that are reading into things that I haven't said are unable to explain to me why what I'm saying is not okay. They can't.
I mean, you've literally called trans people demons. So, I mean, I don't think that's a very moderate take.
Point to a specific sentence that I said that was wrong. It's more about how they're reading into the sentence, which if it's how you are reading into it, that is your emotion. And as I said, my views have not shifted since I got into the political sphere. I have always been pro the First Amendment. I have always been pro staying out of foreign conflicts. And I'm sorry if that feels to you like a personal attack. There's this wonderful Thomas Sowell quote where he says that people that are used to special treatment, when you start to treat them the same, feel like they're being discriminated against. He says it much more eloquently. He's Dr. Thomas Sowell, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, again, she's like, I have very moderate views. Anyway, the trans agenda is demonic. Any actor, actress, individual that supports this is supporting something that is demonic. So not only are you a demon if you're trans, but also if anyone who supports you is demonic in nature. Thomas Sowell is so fucking stupid. Yeah, we've gone over a few audio essays of his on stream, and they are terrible. They are very unconvincing. Dude is literally on record saying that like the worst thing to happen to black people was the Civil Rights Act.
Well,
oh God, why did I click on that? There we go.
And I think that what we're seeing right now is things that are being perceived as a discrimination. And it's not discrimination. I'm just treating you the same as everyone has been treated. And throughout at least my dialogue and the things and monologues throughout the last 6 or 7 years.
Yes.
And I do also want to say that I find it particularly despicable, as I have said on my platform, when people who are pro-Israel are now being called anti-Semites for asking meaningful questions. I talked about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, following the attacks on October 7th, turned to the Israeli government and said, how did this happen? He talked about Israel being the size of New Jersey. He's been there many times. He funds thousands of students to go there and to visit. He's honestly radically pro-Israel, I would almost say. It's probably a fair.
Wait, why would he need to fund thousands of students to go visit Israel? Like if you're Jewish, you have birthright. You can just go there. And they'll like wine and dine you to try and get you to be an Israeli citizen.
Fair thing to say about Charlie Kirk. Yeah. And he was asking these questions with the intent of, if these were your children. And
I guess maybe he's sending evangelical Christians who like want to go and witness the place where Jesus will come again.
They were involved in this horrific attack. Wouldn't you want to know these answers? He's like, you can't move 5 feet without seeing an IDF soldier. I've been to Israel, and that is a fact.
I have too, a number of times, and I admire their border barriers. And I always have. I always think, I wish we had that. So that's a totally fair question.
Totally fair question that he asked, and it got interpreted.
I mean, question, did you visit the rural areas of Israel? Because like there are a lot of places that aren't, metropolitan areas where there are again, many troops stationed, and also there are places where there aren't that many troops stationed. Like, again, it's not a consistent, it's not like they have one guy every 5 feet.
And then there were suddenly these attacks asking the question of whether Turning Point was seeping with anti-Semitism, and how unfair to, after all the work that he has done to support your cause, to turn your back on him and to call him an anti-Semite because you don't like a question that he asked that actually was being asked from the heart and with a little bit of rage toward this even being allowed to happen. We always have to hold our governments accountable in how they are responding.
And plenty of his...
Yeah, we have to hold our governments accountable, which means the governments of other countries. What? I mean, the United States, we should be holding the United States government accountable for its uncritical support of the state of Israel, for it, despite its numerous actions that indicate ethnic cleansing. You know, the ethnic cleansing it is already done in the Gaza Strip, and the potential for genocide, which is very real and continues to loom over the entire Strip.
Israelis, some of whom I know, are asking that question, and why wouldn't they? So you said a minute ago that one of your concerns about having a news story or a public conversation defined by emotion is that it allows the people in charge to change our lives and to take away our civil liberties because we're so distracted by the rage that we feel or the sympathy that we feel. I mean, these are some good feelings too, but we can be manipulated during moments like this.
I mean, Fenry, I would say there are genocidal actions happening. I hesitate to say a full-blown genocide because I think genocide is the intent to completely wipe them out. And I don't know that that decision has quite been made. But I do believe the decision has been made to try and sweep them out of the Gaza Strip. My worry is that there is going to be a point with Israel and Palestine regarding the Gaza Strip where they're going to decide, oh, we can't just get rid of them into Egypt like we were planning. I guess we need to find some more Hamas members and then just start systematically eliminating them. Because what we see right now is untold suffering, untold destruction, untold death. And absolutely ethnic cleansing. You know, millions of people now forced to be flee from their lands. The point I'm trying to make is that I think that there is a way that this can get much worse and go into full-on slaughter of all Palestinians in the Strip. You know, that is why I hesitate to fully say genocide. Genocidal actions, absolutely. Genocidal rhetoric, absolutely. Everything is there. I'm actually surprised Netanyahu removed that one cabinet member for saying they should nuke Gaza. Oh, no, Bisadu, he removed that member because technically Israel does not officially have any nukes. It's one of the worst kept secrets in the world. That's why he was removed. Feel like I think once Israel feels they've got the number of Palestinians under control, that's when mass executions begin. I mean, Snugan, you could be right, and that's what terrifies me. But that's why we need to keep up pressure on the American government. Keep calling your senators, keep calling your representatives. flood their phones, make them unusable until they agree to sponsor a ceasefire. Anyway, I think it's important to be careful about language when it comes to this stuff. So I understand some people are much more willing to use harder language, but yeah.
Case in point, here's a woman who is running for president, the former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, explaining that because of these attacks on October 7th, the rest of us need to register with the government.
Okay, again, no, the Nakba was an ethnic cleansing. There's a difference between ethnic cleansing and genocide. Genocide involves the mass murder of an entire specific ethnic group. That didn't happen during the Nakba. During the Nakba, there were terror attacks on different villages where they did kill all the men, women, and children in the village. Those were massacres. You mean Nakba was not genocide? Nakba was an ethnic cleansing. It's not a... There's a difference between that and a genocide. Ethnic cleansing and genocides often coincide, but they're not the same thing. Yeah, it occurred in order to drive them out. The goal was to remove them, to ethnically cleanse a particular area. This is not the same as a systematic execution to kill as many of them as possible in the hopes of, like, eliminating the idea of Palestine as a nation. There's a difference between these two things. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because you said it was not... No, sorry if I'm getting confused. Nakba was ethnic cleansing. The Nakba was an ethnic cleansing. It wasn't a genocide. I feel like I'm being gaslit right now, but I'm also very tired. So I might be stumbling over my words. No problem. Are we on the same page? And Forlorn 79, for the record, no. If they get expelled into Egypt, they will never be allowed to return. In fact, if even they're allowed to remain in the Gaza Strip, in like the southern Gaza Strip, they're not going to be allowed to return to the northern part. These terms just have a heavy overlap and often happen in tandem, so it's understandable. Yeah, exactly, Drago. We're on the same page? Okay, cool. Sometimes I just need recognition that, like, the thing I said made sense to you guys.
In order to express our opinions online. Here she is.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social...
Again, even if conservatives got this insane demand passed into law, they would just claim social media companies are lying about amplifying conservative voices.
Social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat.
No, it's okay,
that,
Erica.
all of a sudden, people have to stand by what they say, and it gets...
It is totally okay to ask questions and to, like, try and come to understanding on this, because again, the language is very charged, and it's also very, you know, it's a difficult situation to talk about. Absolutely.
Gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots, and then you're going to get some civility.
What about the American bots?
When people know their name is next to what they say.
So Nikki Haley, this has been noted online, but is not her real name, of course. It's a pseudonym. And so, she's not even using a real name and telling us that we have to register with the government under our real names in order to give our opinions. That's obviously contrary to the First Amendment. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, first of all, he is correct about it being contrary to the First Amendment. But second of all, of course, Tucker Carlson doesn't want people to stand alongside like their actual name on social media. Like then all of his writers would be outed as white supremacists.
The anchor didn't say something about it to her, but sort of nodded, oh, it's accountability. But it's fascism, actually. So, like, why isn't Nikki Haley getting laughed off the stage?
Well, Nikki Haley is someone that I would describe as radical. She's a radical in this moment, and she's trying to present her opinions as not radical by hiding behind a terrorist attack.
What? Nikki Haley is like middle of the road as far as like Republicans go.
And it's not going to age.
I mean, she's absolutely crazy, but given like the current crop of Republicans running for president, she's like in the middle.
Well, so right now in this moment, people are like, this rhetoric is totally fine. You're going to look back in a year and people are going to say, actually, this was kind of crazy. Some of the things that she said, you know, she, in my view, has become increasingly radical every time she even hits the debate stage. I don't even know, what country she's running for president in.
Right.
And I think Vivek Ramaswamy called her out accurately. And based on even my own personal experiences with her, which I've documented on my podcast, as somebody who isn't looking to actually win president, doesn't want to become president of the United States, what she's looking to do is to secure certain contracts after she leaves the stage and she loses. And so for her, the motive are relationships that she's going to build and money that she's going to earn, as best evidenced by the fact that when Nikki Haley left her ambassadorship,
hey, Dark Star Mike,
she was broke, and now she's a millionaire, multimillionaire. And you have to ask how that happens. And Vivek Ramaswamy has had the courage to talk about her contract with Boeing. So her concerns are not about American citizens whatsoever, which is why it's all about sort of kowtowing to the person that I think that she believes, or to people that she believes can write her the biggest checks. That's been my assessment of Nikki Haley from the very beginning. It's still my assessment now. Take it or leave it.
But you've been attacked for saying that. And in fact, she's not hardly alone in that. I mean, a lot of politicians, in fact, almost all politicians respond to their donors. It is, I mean, I'm not attacking anybody, but that's just a feature of the business, right? So you say...
I mean, maybe, I'm just throwing this out there, maybe it should be considered bad that politicians are beholden to their donors more so than their voters.
Well, Nikki Haley is responding to her donors, and all of a sudden that's like blood libel or something.
It's foolish, and I won't play the game. Obviously, money
Get
is
us
motivating
back?
for
Absolutely.
a lot of politicians in DC that never
It's the only
leave.
solution.
You think?
Seriously, it's common sense, and yet sometimes people try to twist that narrative and pretend that what you're saying cannot be said because in this moment right now she's being pro-Israel. So you can't talk about Nikki Haley and money, even though I spoke about this way before October 7th. From the second she announced that she was running, I talked about my personal experience with her and how much she was charging for speaking fees. At the time, it was $300,000 plus a private plane for her to go anywhere to speak after she left her ambassadorship. And she came with a list of prepackaged questions. So her assistant at the time, you were not allowed to ask her one question off script. Any person that hired Nikki Haley at this time will tell you this. So her answers are practiced, her answers are rehearsed. And her answers are rehearsed because she wants to make sure that she doesn't upset the people that are writing the checks. So I said that literally the day she announced she was running for president.
Now, I don't know that much. I don't know how, like, let me put it this way. I don't know how verifiable this is, but just gonna pull this back a little bit.
That narrative and pretend that what you're saying cannot be said because in this moment right now she's being pro-Israel. So you can't talk about Nikki Haley and money, even though I spoke about this way before October 7th. From the second she announced that she was running, I talked about my personal experience with her and how much she was charging for speaking fees. At the time, it was $300,000.
Now, I'm gonna start this over. I don't know how reputable this website is. Like Candace Owens is framing this like she charges $300,000 for a speaker's fee. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Well, I typed Candace Owens speaking fee into Google, and this was the #1 result. From Speaker Booking Agency. Candace Owens speaker and booking information. Conservative political speaker and founder of the Blexit Foundation. Speaker fee range $50,000 to $100,000. So I don't know. Maybe we should also be talking a little bit about Candace Owens' speaking fee. Is the issue that she gets paid speaking fees at all, or is it just that she gets paid a lot more speaking fees than Candace Owens? Is that seems to be kind of the issue? Wait, the Blexit Foundation? Yep. Yeah, $300,000 isn't absurd for like someone who is running to be president of the United States and is actually like polling in the results, you know? God. Book Candace Owens now. Amazing.
Plus a private plane for her to go anywhere to speak after she left her ambassadorship. And she came with a list of prepackaged questions. So her assistant at the time, you were not allowed to ask her one question off script. Any person that hired Nikki.
Oh yeah, Blexit is the black exit from the Democratic Party. That's what Blexit is.
Haley at this time will tell you this. So her answers are practiced, her answers are rehearsed. And her answers are rehearsed because she wants to make sure that she doesn't upset the people that are writing the checks. So I said that literally the day she announced she was running for president, and now all of a sudden something that I've been consistent on is being misconstrued as anti-Israel or anti-Semitic because Nikki Haley is being radically pro-Israel.
So it does concern me, however, because in American 2023, the only people...
Oh yeah, no, Candace Owens pretends that she was a Democrat. Like her narrative is that back in college, I was a wide-eyed young lady who believed in the Democratic Party, but now I've had my eyes opened and I see the truth and everything is as Republicans say. That's basically her narrative in a nutshell. She's basically like Dave Rubin, except that whereas Dave Rubin is Jewish, and a former liberal, she's a former liberal and black. That's they're both in the same kind of niche within the Republican media apparatus.
People defending the First Amendment, the foundational right, the right that precedes all other rights, which is the right to say what you really believe and prove you're not a slave. The right is the only group that defends that freedom. And now they're not. Now they're saying, well, actually, maybe you need to register with the government before you're allowed to talk. So if the left's obviously opposed to the First Amendment, now a lot of the...
Who on the left was advocating for people to register with the government in order to speak? Again, citations needed.
Right is opposed to the First Amendment, so like, how do we keep the First Amendment?
Yeah, I think this kind of is almost what Trump was referring to when he talks about the swamp. You know, they get a little taste of what they can earn for themselves, and they kind of...
This is what Trump was talking about when he talks about the swamp. Both the left and the right are the swamp, and we need to eliminate them along with the entire deep state and replace them with people loyal to Trump. Trump really is the only person who can save us here, and he's going to bring back a much stronger, much more independent, and much more virile future for America. You see, Donald Trump alone can save us, and frankly, we need to make sure that he undermines the Supreme Court and seizes total and complete power over the United States and the Constitution in order to protect the United States and the Constitution. That's essentially the pitch here from like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
Kind of go further into this and actually doesn't become about America at all. And I think at this particular moment, you are seeing a fracturing on the right. There are people that are pro-America, America first. I am a person that considers myself pro-America, America first. And it absolutely makes my skin crawl when people try to tie America's success to what we have to do overseas. I believe in national sovereignty. I believe that America has what it takes here at home to be a great nation. And
Yes.
actually, I think history sort of tells us that once we started this campaign of international liberalism following World War II, things kind of started falling apart,
Yes.
especially this a deep a steep decrease following the 1960s without question. I mean, socially, morally, economically, this has been a nation that's in decline. And so
Chat, is the implication here that since the 1960s, is the implication here that the civil rights movement ruined the United States? Is that the implication here? That's what I interpreted her meaning. Did you guys pick that up too? That's the only thing I think correlates to like in a Republican worldview, a decline. Right?
I cannot stand when I see these politicians on stage emoting and saying sentences like, we can do both. Look around you. Does it look like we can do both? Where is your evidence to support the claim that America can do both? Because I'm looking around and it's very clear, it's very obvious that we cannot do both. Our children are failing academically. People are fearful to go into inner city communities. We have people that are suffering from depression, overdosing on fentanyl. We're fundamentally an unhappy nation because we don't have an identity. Because of these things, we don't have identity. We've completely lost what it means to be an American. It is why I feel very inspired when I hear someone like Vivek Ramaswamy speak and talk about American principles. I hate the way that they illustrate their opinions about people that want that old America, that are nostalgic about that America. When someone says, and I've heard of this statement, and I can't remember who said it, but you can't be pro-American unless you're pro-Israel. I just thought of the person who's probably in West Virginia who had both his legs blown off, right, fighting overseas, who is pro-American, and you're telling him that no, unless you agree that every single war should be everywhere, you're not pro-American. We've lost our identity. I mean, that's completely a foolish thing to say. And I say this as somebody who, if I was going to be radical anything, I'm probably radically pro-UK, right? I married a Brit.
Embarrassing.
My children have dual citizenship. I would never utter the sentence that to be pro-America means to be pro-British. I love the Brits. I love everything about, I love being in the United Kingdom, but I know what it means to be pro-American. It means to be pro-American.
I couldn't even.
And you're so pro-American, you married a British man? Doesn't sound very pro-American to me. If you were pro-America, you would be boning down a good old-fashioned American boy, all right? Look at Candace Owens, inconsistent.
Someone whose ancestors from the UK, I couldn't agree more. You got to kind of wonder where this is going now that, basically no one in the establishment in Washington is for the front runner in the Republican presidential primaries. Trump gets the nomination. Like, what happens then?
I think you're going to probably see the same things that we saw in 2015 and 2016. I think there has always been a never Trump contingent.
Right.
It has manifested itself now as pro DeSantis. A lot of the never Trumpers became, very pro DeSantis.
Yep.
Some elements of it, obviously, people that are war hawks, people that want to kind of keep the military industrial complex going everywhere.
People who
have always been anti-Trump. So,
hate speech laws.
Yeah, hate speech laws that are dressed up as something more noble, and it's like, no, this is actually a law that is fundamentally anti.
I thought you were pro-UK. I thought you loved the UK. What about their hate speech laws that are far, far, far more strict than the US? Inconsistent.
Anti-speech, and if you want to debate that, we can, and we should have that debate, but it, again, always seems to be reduced to smears and libels and not an academic discussion, which it should be. So I don't think...
I love how Candace Owens is saying all these things need to be academic discussions when A, she insists on being in them, and she is not an academic, and B, she doesn't believe in academics or science or like actually educated people when they say things. Yeah, this entire conversation has been disdain for academia, has been disdain for professors, has been disdain for experts, has been disdain for scientists, specifically vaccine scientists. And the idea that she thinks, oh, well, we should leave some debates for the academics is wild. Yeah, she literally believes the moon landing was faked. She believes you can't trust NASA, but that you should trust the experts to have conversations about this. Sure.
I think this is new. I think it's just kind of reappeared as something else. And we have always had these people. Will they, when they get to the ballot box, vote against Trump principally? Well, they did it in 2015 and 2016, and it didn't have an impact. And I think in 2020, they probably, I don't know if they cast their votes for Biden. I don't know that they would. I have taken myself out of political prognostications entirely.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, I think,
Wise.
now. Yeah, because I obviously am always hoping that America wins at the ballot box. People that are focused on American initiatives are focused on wanting citizens to be successful here, not making them feel guilty about wanting to feed their families, not making them feel guilty about what they're seeing at the gas station that they can't afford, despite the fact that they do what they're supposed to do day in and day out. They wake up, they go to work 9 to 5, and the government is taking everything and telling them that there's some new moral crusade every time you blink. There is a new moral crusade. How many have we lived through in just the last 2 years? COVID, it was a global moral crusade.
But food prices are never a moral crusade, I notice.
Never. God forbid you want to be able to afford a pack of bacon for your family.
But God forbid you ever suggest something like state-funded food banks. You know, if you suggest any tax dollars should go to feeding people, these people would absolutely lose their shit against any initiative like that.
Forbid you say that publicly. Depending on what time of year it is, that makes you a grandma killer, that makes you whatever, a pro-Putin puppet, it makes you an anti-Semite, it makes you a racist. We get it, okay? We still would like to focus on our families. We still would like to put American principles first. So if there's no further argument and it's just going to be smears and libels, we like to turn the chapter and get talking about how we can actually do that, how we can actually fix America.
Who do you listen to when you're trying to figure out, I mean, some of the stuff comes at you so fast and you're talking almost every day or writing almost every day. Who do you read or listen to try to make sense or bounce ideas off of?
You know, I have been obsessed with Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, it's literally the only academic she can ever reference in any of her discussions is Thomas Sowell.
And everybody knows that I am pretty much a Thomas Sowell groupie. Everything he writes, I read. And it is because he was a part of my awakening story into politics and made me focus on the economics, which is to say, block out the noise and pay attention to the economics, go backwards in history to understand where we are. When has this worked? Oh, it's never worked. So they're telling you that it's going to work into the future. And there's no evidence to support that. So I think a lot of times in this environment, it's important to almost block out the noise and to focus on the things that matter. The economic debates that people are having right now, which don't make sense. How much more debt can America be in as you're trying to convince us that we're going to get out of it if we just commit to one more war? By the way, where is all of this money going? It's incredible to me that the government has the ability to reach into our accounts and to read every single line of what we spend down to your Zelle payments and your PayPal, and yet we just can't get an accounting for how they're spending their money. It's incredible when tech works and when tech fails people. I would say in terms of being inspired by people, I am very much inspired for different reasons. And people will find this very weird. Obviously, I've been very open about the fact that I've been tremendously inspired by you in my career. And I'm not just saying about you. I've said this long before. Tucker Unleashed has been the greatest thing. It is something that we have needed, and it has been a great addition to the American campaign. I also am inspired by Elon Musk. He is so different from me, and we probably have very little in common, and yet in this weird way, his fight for freedom, what he did for Twitter, is something, there are no words to illustrate what that actually meant in terms of the global conversation. He is a hero. You know, if everything else that he did was bad, he would be measured as a good man, and that's my belief.
I agree with that.
I'm inspired by people like Dana White. The ability to during.
Are you kidding me, dude? Dana White? Okay.
BLM, absolutely love Dana White. People don't realize what sort of pressure was on him. To being the first person to say, we're not shutting down the UFC, allowing, by the way, something that is so beautiful, the differing opinions to take place at the UFC. He does not care if you come out in an Israeli flag, a Palestinian flag, a BLM flag, a pro-America flag, and then the press will put pressure on him, and you hear him, and he's like, so what? They're going to bash each other as soon as they get into the octagon. What do you mean? Tell them what they're going to think, you know? that means something. These are little battles that we're winning, and people are fighting them on different fronts. And these are the cultural people, the political people. Thomas Massey, for being the most consistent congressman in terms of what he supports and what he doesn't support, is someone else that I admire. So there are a lot of different people that I admire, but I think what they all have in common is an underlying belief in freedom and a hatred for people who are trying to tell you it's freedom when they are trying to censor you and to belittle you and to smear you and to libel you.
It does feel, I mean, I'm going to end with this, but just your gut level sense of who's winning and who's losing right now. It seems to me, maybe I'm lying to myself, that the kind of moderate, sensible, common sense oriented people who want basically all the same things, a happy, stable, safe life for their families, they do seem to be winning.
What I want to say to those people, because I know that sometimes you wonder if the world has gone mad. The world hasn't gone mad. Some people with big platforms who have gone mad have gone mad. But it will always pay in the long run to stay on the side of morality, to be, moderate in your opinions, to not ever fault yourself for wanting to feed your family first.
Yes.
It makes perfect sense. I would never rush over while my child was dying and starving and feed the neighbor's child.
No.
Right? I would feed my child first, and if there was leftovers, I would obviously accommodate the person next door, and that's called being charitable. And I want those people to know that I do feel what you are feeling, and I think that we are in a unique time in America. I think the cultural conversation is switching. I think more people are beginning to buck bad trends. And the more of us who stand up for that morality, the more people that will be encouraged by that standing up and who will join us.
God, no wonder Tucker Carlson's views have been falling off. This is boring as hell.
Do you find yourself thinking about God more than you used to?
Yes, without question.
Really?
Do you find yourself talking to God more than you used to? I talk to him all the time. He's telling me to do some terrible things, but I think it might be the right idea.
Yes, it is just one of those things. I've never been more confident in who I am as a person, and I think that needs to be said. And a couple of years ago, or I would even say just getting started in politics, it's a wild world. And you do realize that people do sell out. You do realize that there are people that don't have courage to say certain things. There's a lot of backhanded messaging and texting that's going on because people have aligned themselves to groups and not principles, which I think is wrong. But something changed for me spiritually when I got married and when I had children. And I would say that I became laser focused. And I've never felt more secure. I've never felt more sure that I will land on my 2 feet if I follow a path that I deem to be righteous. And I am not speaking these things to myself. That's God operating. That is God that is operating, and it is the call upon all people to be righteous in their approaches to things. And that can be very difficult in politics. But I'm confident, and I think people are either very angry about that confidence. I think they can see the happiness that I have, and they're angry because that means that it's less of an ability to control what I say and to control what I think. But I'm still the same girl from the wrong side of the tracks. I understand people, and I can't sell out to anybody. I demand to be free.
I can't sell out to anyone. Anyway, book me for $50,000 to $100,000 for a speaker fee. I will sell out to you immediately.
It's not an arrogant, false confidence. It's real. And I find it inspiring. Candace Owens, thank you very much.
What an honor. I'm so
And congratulations
excited.
on this baby. I can't overstate. I don't want any tight shots on Candace, but we're days away.
We are literally minutes away.
The fire department's on standby. Candace Owens, what an honor. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Oh boy, that was not fun. I didn't enjoy that as much as I hoped I would. I thought there was going to be a lot more juicy fighting between Candace and Ben, and there was far less of it in there. God, she sucks. Yeah, she's not even really interesting, Mostly she just has, all she can really fall back on in order to become interesting is, saying something shocking like trans people are demons. Something like that. That's like all she can really rely on. I thought the fighting was on Twitter. It was, but I thought the fighting would continue in the Tucker Carlson segment. So anyway, Candace Owens is feuding out in the open with her boss, Ben Shapiro, over Israel's war in Gaza. So Candace Owens went and posted this very long thing here. Oh, it's in here. Wait. Yeah, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for their righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And basically it goes on to quote a bunch of stuff, and then ends with, you can't serve two masters, money and God and money. And Ben Shapiro responds, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. And Candace Owens says, you've been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it, and have all tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. You cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it. You are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. Christ is king. I mean, it's very interesting to say to a Jewish man, but we'll move past that. And Candace Owens cooking, just liking tweets. Ben's off his rocker for real. Cooking with fire. He's completely unhinged and brainwashed. Ben is having a moment. Dude is completely unhinged and has lost his ability to see things clearly. What a shame. He would have been a shoo-in for 28, but he got greedy, and this is what happens. Again, like as soon as they can frame Ben Shapiro as like an evil Jew, like that's what they try and do, Why do you think Candace Owens is doing this? I feel like I honestly I feel like probably Candace Owens thinks that she could do better by herself if she broke from the Daily Wire and was able to cause a controversy around it to like get Daily Wire people on her side. Like the conflict here I think is more marketing for her. So yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? I think she's doing it for the money. That is my take on it. Do you guys like the little peepo art on the wall back there? Because I love it. But very interesting find, by the way, from Ari Drennan at Media Matters. Candace Owens did not post a show to the Daily Wire Plus today. An image uploaded yesterday said there would be no show that day and that she would be back soon. So she hasn't put out a show in days now. And hopefully we can see a fragmenting of the online right. That would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. Hey, Cross Crescent Creed. They beefing. But yes, there we go. Daily Wire is kind of crazy. Jordan Peterson on cognitive decline. Oh my god, such a hard decline too. Matt Walsh getting hate boners for trans people. Ben screaming about Gaza. Knowles just looking like a ghoul. Yeah, nah, Michael Knowles is just ghouling around. The UN genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group as such. A, killing members of the group. B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. E, forcibly transferring children. So, like, this is the thing, right? I think that there are strict ways you can interpret those definitions, and then there are extraordinarily loose ways to interpret those definitions, right? Like, when Canada had a eugenics board for, like 80 years until like the 1980s. Were they doing a genocide when they were like systematically targeting Native women to like sterilize? I mean, they didn't sterilize every Native woman, but they sterilized several thousand. Was that a genocide? Was that act a genocide? Now, some people would say yes, but is that like part of a wider one? Is it a genocidal act? Like, the semantics of how you would talk about it are very different, right? Because something can be like an atrocity, but is it a genocide, right? Cultural genocide absolutely happened against Native Americans and is ongoing, right? All I'm trying to point out here is that, like, it is a semantic question here. Is it, but like the question is that an individual genocide? Like, would you say that the actions of the Canada Eugenics Board is its own genocide? Or is it part of a larger genocidal campaign? There's a lot of, like, the semantics around it are highly charged and they matter, right? And then there are very strict ways you can define these things. And that's typically how it's used in international law. So, like, in international law, you have to establish intent, and that is an extraordinarily high bar when you're talking on like state level machinations, right? And attempted genocide absolutely deserves to be reported. Well, then again, you could say Hamas attempted genocide against Israel on October 7th. No? Was that a genocide when they killed over 1,000 Jews? Right? Like, what I'm trying to get at here is that these definitions matter and can be interpreted loosely or strictly. And how we talk about them is important considering how charged the language is. I think if you blockade a group from water, food, electricity, bomb them, force them to leave their homes, you are intending to remove the means of living for an entire group in that blockade. I agree with you. What I am trying to determine here is whether or not it would be called ethnic cleansing, a mass atrocity, a genocide. This is, to me, it does, like, what you call it doesn't change the material reality on the ground, but it does matter in like conversations around it, right? And like, as far as the material reality is on the ground, yeah, I've been covering this for literally fucking weeks now. I have dozens of hours of this on my channel. Okay, I think we need to talk about it as a systemic process rather than it as a single event. Yeah. Matt Tatiahu, I agree with you. I think that there is a difference between a genocide and a genocidal campaign. Those are two different things as well, right? So, like, a genocidal campaign can encompass a much wider period of time. And I think that that much more effectively encapsulates what the Palestinian people have been going through for like the last 80 years, right? I think that something can be genocidal and like what is the genocide might be different things on occasion. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to use other examples of things that targeted groups of people that were egregiously horrid and horrible and atrocities that aren't technically considered genocides by like the wider world, and asking like, are those genocides? Is what we define as a genocide in more a colloquial sense, like, or by those definitions set forth by the UN, is that do we need to broaden it to a lot of other things, right? And I don't know. Like, I feel very comfortable calling what is happening in Gaza an ethnic cleansing. And ethnic cleansing is often part of genocide. I just don't know how I feel about saying it is a deliberate attempt to exterminate the Palestinian people. I think it's a deliberate attempt to try and get rid of the Palestinian people from Israeli, what lands Israel considers its own. And they are willing to engage in genocidal action to get that done. I just don't know if what we are seeing is the actual genocide yet. Does that make sense? Because while people like, it is horrid over there, right? Like, they don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have internet, they don't have all of these things. They are being systematically isolated. They are being systematically deprived. But my question is, can it get worse? And I think that yes, it can, right? It can get worse. I think that there is another level to where this can go. And this is what I have been talking about is my fear. Where this is outright a liquidation of the Palestinian people. I've been saying that since the beginning. And I don't know that that has happened. I don't think Hamas has the power to genocide a group. But again, if we're using the definition, right, it doesn't need to be a successful genocide, right? Like, the following acts are committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group, like killing members of the group, causing serious bodily harm or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing, like, again, the action of Hamas, you could use the definition of the UN to describe that as genocidal due to its intent, or possible intent, you know? Yeah, Lady Ringcloud, what I'm trying to say is that I believe Native American people have been the victims of genocide, right? But what I'm asking is, do we describe one part of it as a genocide, or is all of it a genocide, right? Is all of it genocidal action, or is each component thing that happens an individual genocide? It's a semantic thing that I'm asking, right? Because I believe Native genocide is real, it's ongoing, it's a horrific problem, but I don't necessarily know if, like, would I say it's a conglomeration of thousands of genocides? Tens of thousands? I mean, maybe. But what I'm trying to get at here is that this is like a deeply charged semantic distinction, and like, that's kind of why we need to be careful about talking about it. So I just see them differently. Well, but that's the thing, right? The point I'm trying to make for Lauren is that the definition you provided can be used in different ways to describe different acts of varying degrees from varying groups of varying power to describe something as genocide. So what I'm trying to see is like, what I'm trying to say is that I want to be careful about what is called a genocide, you know? Does that make sense? Can I ask this as a Native person? Do you think that we care about the semantics of it and people arguing the semantics of it while we're living through it? The same goes for Palestinian people. No, I don't think that the semantics matter to people who are on the receiving end of genocidal action. I think what matters are the actions that are inflicting this, the systems that are inflicting this. The point being, the reason I'm talking about it is because people are getting upset with me for saying, making a distinction between ethnic cleansing and genocide. That's the entire reason I'm talking about this. Hey, sticky monkey flowers. Did that make sense? Like I'd much rather talk about Israel attacking the Al-Shifa hospital and like pulling out like bullshit propaganda. But people wanted to talk about it being like genocide versus ethnic cleansing and being upset at me that I'm calling it ethnic cleansing because I think it can get worse and I hope it doesn't. And when it gets worse, I would call it genocide. You know, that's all I'm trying to say. You're the last person I want to be arguing with or upset with for anything or upset with me. And I think I'm following what you're getting at. Yeah. And also I hate semantic discussions. I hate them. I don't think it's really that productive. I'm not upset. I just have a different view of what's happening. I don't think you do have a different view of what's happening is the thing. That's what's frustrating here. Because we agree on all of the facts on the ground. The issue that you specifically had with what I said was a semantic one. For Lauren. Well, the semantics are important in like an international legal sense, yes. In like a more colloquial sense, it's less important. Now, the question, if you want to ask me, do I think Hamas's attack against Israel was genocidal? Maybe it could be described as like having genocidal intent. Maybe you could make that argument, but you'd need to, again, meet a very high bar. But like, yes, it matters primarily with charging them for war crimes. Well, yeah, but that's the other thing. You can do that to smaller groups of people who commit massacres, even if they don't have the power to kill everyone in an ethnic group they were targeting. Right? Like that's what the point I'm trying to get at here is that law applies to both sides, regardless of what the like historical situation is. Maybe you should move on. Kind of seems like chat is stun locking and looping now. Yeah, it kind of does. I just think this is a genocide against Palestinian people in general. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at the beginning. Like, I would view the course of history regarding Palestinian people from like 1948 till now to be a genocidal project of like the Israeli government. Like, the Israeli government's intent is to destroy the Palestinian people and eliminate the one-state solution and to kick them off of their historic lands. The main I guess situation here that I'm stuck on is like they are perpetrating a slow rolling ethnic cleansing, and I think whether or not that escalates to genocide depends on whether or not they decide it's just no longer feasible to slowly push them off the land and they need a faster solution. Yeah, I don't know. Here's a picture of a kitty. I'll take a look at a picture of a kitty. That is a cute kitty. Thank you, Matatiahu. I appreciate it. They are a cutie pie. True. A very cutie pie. To cover today. Also, if you guys are wondering why the show is so late today, it's specifically because I had to move my setup to this part of the room and get it all set up and working and whatnot. Time will tell if any official declaration is made. Yeah, and you know what? If things change, I will change my position. So just an impromptu late stream. Honestly, this stream was mostly to figure out whether or not my current setup would work for streaming, and I think the answer is yes. Yeah, no, we were stun locking. We were stun locked. Ooh. This is the same room. Yeah, this is the same room. It's just over in the corner that you guys could previously see in the background. So I was on that wall, and now I'm on this wall. And I'm right next to this wall. And there's another wall right back there. Let's see. Hopefully next time chat can stun lock on a fun question, like if truth is beauty truth? Or is a taco a sandwich? Well, the issue with the if truth is beauty question or is beauty truth, or if truth is beauty truth, is that truth isn't beautiful. You know, sometimes truth is a horrible, horrible thing, you know? It's not always beautiful. So I disagree with the premise of the if-then statement. Is the Game Awards over? I don't think so. I think the Game Awards is like next week, maybe? Oh no, Psy6, I'm sorry. What if ugliness is a kind of beauty? Well, if beauty's in the eye of the beholder, then maybe it's not. Where does beauty lie? Oh, hey, here's a fun thing. Let's do a Walter Masterson video. Walter Masterson is just a generally swell guy.
The Uniparty Convention! It's a Uniparty.
A lot of people in the United States that need mental health.
Our involvement in foreign wars.
This is in Miami for Trump's rally after the GOP debate.
Making things worse is costing us money.
The only benefit is for Raytheon and all of our big war manufacturing companies.
How you doing, man? I love this, man. You made it yourself? Yeah. You gonna go inside? Are you gonna leave this outside?
No, they're not gonna let me go inside with this.
Oh, so you're just hanging.
I came here to woo the crowd and show off a little.
You know, election happens. Trump is elected. Republicans sweep the.
Why is this man riding a giant tricycle? Why? Why?
House and Senate.
Why?
What do you want to see Republicans do day one in office?
Get rid of the rhinos.
Get rid of the rhinos. Republicans in name only.
Fire all the liberals and fire all the rhinos.
Fire all the liberals. Okay. And then what do you want to see them do?
See, again, like Trump supporters will just straight up tell you, "Hey, we're on the verge of completely eliminating any political disagreement." That's what we want.
About like the economy.
Well, I think that already speaks for itself. We've seen what he did before. I know he'll do it again and do better.
What do you want to see him do? Healthcare.
Well, I'd like to see mental health be addressed, number one. There's a whole lot of people in the United States that need mental health, and there's no mental health available for people. They walk the streets every day without medicine.
That's true. You know what? It sounds kind of like nationalized healthcare for all.
I'm not completely healthcare for all because it doesn't give people incentive to work. You know, I know a lot of people. I live in a poor.
Yeah, you need the incentive you need to work should be not getting health care. What? Bro, I see all these people walking around who need medicine. What if we had a system that would give them medicine? No, they need to work for it. What?
Area. And people living off the system, and they'd rather do that than go to work because it's so easy. I've worked hard my whole life.
But how do we get mental health care for all then?
Pardon?
But then how do we get mental health care for all?
Well, I guess if we had to go with what you said, we would go all the way, but people need mental health.
It's not nationalized health care for all, but
if national health care included good mental health for these people in this country, I'm all for it.
Damn.
Maybe
Fair enough.
My mind a little bit, but
you know what? You're welcome to change your mind. It's America. Thank you for that.
It costs me a lot of money to come to these events.
Yeah.
I'm a working man. I give up a day's.
Wait, what is the... Oh, okay, we stand with Israel, and then it has Bible verses. Cool.
I pay for the signs, you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's just say Donald Trump has won the election, red wave, House and Senate. What do you want to see Trump do his first day in office?
Guys, Bike Guy, you guys are all simping for Bike Guy now. He literally just finished advocating for Trump's ascendance to fascism by eliminating all political opposition in the government. Do not stand this guy.
All the good things that he always do. He always do good things.
First thing that I want him to do is close the border. Second thing is I want him to lower the inflation of this country that's really, really high right now.
How is he going to lower the inflation?
Well, I guess by, that's a good question.
According to this chart, what is the biggest driver of inflation?
It would be corporate profits.
And what is that percentage?
It is 54%, and that number does stay that level of high if you update that number to more recent numbers as well.
So over half of the increased prices people are paying are coming from increases in corporate profits.
Yeah. What do you want to see with regards...
I mean, keep in mind, all of these people have been brainwashed into conservative propaganda, right? Like, that's how they become people who show up at Trump rallies wearing, like, American flags and waving American flag breasts. Just notice what's on his flag.
To all this climate change stuff.
I don't believe in the climate change stuff. That's something that the Democrats have created.
What about for like education?
I believe that they shouldn't make the students pay back, for the loans.
Well, oh, so they student debt relief.
Yeah, exactly, correct.
What do you want to see the
Dude, again, if Democrats actually had spines and went for like national healthcare programs or like student debt forgiveness, they would unironically win Republican support.
Republicans do first day in office?
Our involvement in foreign wars, making things worse is costing us money.
So no more money to Israel, no more money to Ukraine.
I would say no more money. If they need our help, if they're where they say, hey, we're getting our butts kicked, we need your help. Okay, awesome. But sometimes they can kick butt on their own. They don't need no one's help. If they ask for it, obviously they're our friends. We'll give it to them. But I don't think we should be imposing, here's some weapons, here.
I weirdly like this butt guy. This guy who just keeps talking about kicking butt.
At our cost. So Trump has won re-election. What would you like to see happen?
We would want to see a federal and national ban on abortion.
Federal
that
ban.
Would be the end goal, yes, and have all of the pro-life bills be pro-life at conception. As far as the GOP is concerned, I think what we're seeing is not enough conversation as far as what a federal ban looks like in our party. We're seeing that a lot of candidates are really divided on the issue, and so we're here to make a statement, spread awareness that we need to go back to those unapologetic pro-life views that Trump had held that high standard before.
What do you want to see Trump do?
Fire them all. Everyone.
Rhinos?
Everyone. You fire them, they come back in, they apply for the job, and they got to have the skills, the qualifications, not their color, not their sex, not their perverted sex, none of that. They're not even qualified for the jobs. They just happen to be black, or they happen to be gay, happen to be a lesbian black person. That's not qualifications, but that's what it is right now.
What do you want to see Trump do his first day in office?
Let the J6s out. Let the J6s out. All these political prisoners. Shut down the FBI. They can't be fixed.
10 out of 10 flag.
It is ruined. It's dirty.
What are we going to do about law enforcement then? With just local police?
It needs to be redone, completely redone. Epstein Island, FBI went in there. What did they do? To collect evidence? No, they went to clean up a crime scene. Oh, it's definitely corrupt.
Dude is wearing an Enrique Tarrio did nothing wrong shirt. Oh my god. This guy's like a Proud Boy who's buying merch to support like imprisoned Proud Boys. That's incredible.
On a federal level. Huh?
I agree.
Yeah.
What do you want to see happen first day in office?
Enrique Tarrio is the leader of the Proud Boys.
Send massive support of law enforcement and military to our borders, both Canadian and others. And also, I want to see more people out on the waters, protecting the waterways. That's the first and foremost. The second, I'll give you three if you don't mind. First is that...
Give as many as well. You give me 20.
First one is that. The second one, thing I would like to see is I'd like them to put together a legal panel, a legal group of people to in-depth go after all the crimes committed by Democrats, and also look at any crimes committed by even Republicans, because we need to make sure that everyone's held accountable. I'm all for that. It doesn't matter what party you're on.
Listen, you broke the law of our oath of office, go to jail.
Yes, and then
Democrat, Republican, go for it.
Yes, and the third and most important thing I want to see.
I mean, even if Trump broke the law,
exactly,
he should go to jail.
I agree. On
I mean, hey, fair and balanced.
Exactly, fair. I am a fan.
You got to enforce all the laws.
Even Trump. I do agree with that. We need to make sure that all of our teachers, we need to set up a specific fund to make sure that all of our teachers don't lose. Thank you. We love you. We need to make sure that all the teachers don't lose their place to live, so they can continue teaching for our children. And that same fund should also be able to...
Wait, I like that. It's a fund, it's a national fund for our teachers so that they can secure proper housing.
At least an emergency fund at the very least, to make sure that they don't lose housing. And that same fund should also go for making sure that all children, regardless of their status in this country, are able to get nutrition. First and foremost, I know what it's like. I've suffered a lot in my lifetime nutrition-wise, so I believe in making sure our teachers and our children are taken care of.
The Republicans are doing this. I call them rhinos. They're not real Republicans. They're doing this thing where they're cutting school lunch program for little kids.
That's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, that's just the entire Republican Party, but...
Do we like what Biden is doing with Israel?
Definitely not.
What would you like to see him do?
Can I get us
Israel
back?
is one of our biggest allies to,
So we should give them weapons. We should continue to sell them weapons.
Of course, we should continue
Because
helping
a lot of
Israel.
these people on the left are like so mad that we're continuing to give Israel weapons.
I think that we should. I think that we should help out the Israelis. We should give them weapons.
What do you want to see him do with Israel?
Like peace for Israel, help like stop that war.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even because my son is in the army.
You don't want your son going to war.
I don't. I mean, he's there, and I'm proud of him.
Do you want him? You don't want him going to Ukraine or Israel? You don't want him
wish-
going anywhere.
I wish, yeah. If he can try to avoid that, like he always do.
What do you want to see Trump do with regards to Israel, Palestine?
There is no benefit for war. The only benefit is for Raytheon and all of our big war manufacturing companies because they make money every time there's a war. If you want to learn something really good, if you've ever seen the movie Air America with Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch the very
Robert
end?
Downey Jr. and Mel Gibson.
And did you watch the very end of it? And it tells you this is a true story. The CIA bought a defunct airline out of Laos or whatever. They then made it Air America. They were running our government, our military was running drugs, running weapons, and
They were
running
subsidizing drug traffickers because those people were against the communists.
By them doing that and all the drugs that filtered into our soldiers, they are responsible for the drug deaths of these soldiers.
Opioid.
Well, what? No, the CIA dealt drugs in America specifically to target black and brown people to take them out of the voting pool. Okay.
Opioid epidemic back in Vietnam.
On the foreign policy, the only thing I can say about Trump, he's got balls. He will not back down. He will stand up. They know he will push the button.
How do you think Trump would handle the Israel-Palestine conflict?
It would have never happened.
Yeah, they wouldn't have messed with it.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's something not right about this guy.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Hamas would not have done anything to Israel because Trump was around.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And so what do you want to see? Like what's missing right now from this conflict, in terms of how it's being dealt with?
He's giving, Gaza money thinking it's going to go to like humans, but really Hamas is stealing the money and then they shoot more rockets at us. So the whole thing's very complicated.
If we're going to put on my aluminum hat,
yeah,
they knew that they were going to fly in or do whatever they were going to do. Let's say they didn't know. Let's say Mossad. They invented the spy game, and they have some most sophisticated equipment. You have a cat walking by that fence, and it alerts them.
Yeah.
I think they knew, or they got some kind of warning that they were flying in. They let it happen. They let it happen in order to justify everything that is going on now, so they can go in and just destroy them. Because there's major hate on both sides. Both sides. They're both. You know what? They both need Jesus.
I like the flag.
Why Nicki Minaj?
Well, Nicki Minaj is one of my is one of my favorite artists, and
Uh-huh.
well,
Do we know if she likes Trump?
Oh well,
she does now.
She does now, yeah, definitely.
She's non-party affiliated now because she left the party, and that's the Democrat Party doesn't like her, and it's a great way to lead by example of unity. Hey, I'm willing to have a Democrat also with the ticket. Prior to that, Trump will give too much fuel to the fire for the opposition to divide the country. Oh, look what Trump said. Oh, look how mean he is. Look at that, And I came across a lot of my friends who will get so angry if you spoke about Trump or it had this reaction in them that I've never seen before. I've never seen this divide before.
The vice presidential debate tonight across town for, the GOP debate.
Oh, the GOP debate.
I call it the vice presidential debate.
It could happen. It could be one of the picks.
I mean, none of them are coming anywhere near Trump. What do you think of Vivek?
Like a lot of things he says. I like him. If he could have some sort of cabinet position, if ever he came to that would be awesome.
So his biggest platform that everyone's talking about is how he wants to raise the voting age and institute a civics test.
Raise the voting age to
24 or 25.
25? I haven't heard that.
Institute a civics test.
A civic tax?
A civics test.
Oh, a test. Oh, civics test. In order to vote, I would say that's extreme. Even idiots have the right to vote.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So if you're
it's
informed,
America.
awesome. If you're not,
I knew Butt Guy was good.
there has to be cuts in spending, of course. Our national debt's crazy. Crazy. It's not going to lead to anything good. So we need to
These billionaires.
No, because I would say
I really do enjoy the citations in this video.
the billionaires are not all corrupt. There's some billionaires that will do good things for the sake of the country. Hello, we've got a billionaire right here. He's going to be here tonight. He's doing good things for the country.
What's another billionaire that's...
I like Elon Musk. I like what he's doing.
yeah.
I like him. I like also Jeff Bezos. I like the fact that he's using Cape Canaveral in order for space explorations. Like a surplus of money in the hands of the good ones. I think it will make it more difficult for us to have a just society and, not socialism.
Thank you.
The rallies I've been to.
Oh,
This is my 7th.
Oh, you're 7th?
Yeah.
Are you 7th pre-election or post-election?
I believe that the rallies was after the election, but we started doing the Stop the Steal rallies and
the steal.
all of that stuff, yeah.
So right now, across the Miami, is the GOP debates, or as I like to call it, the vice presidential debates.
Oh, I wouldn't pick any of them for vice president either. Oh,
Really?
no.
What about Vivek?
No, look up his history. He received money from, I don't know if it was the WEF or the WHO. He's received money from those organizations. They're just putting a plant in somebody who they think will be attractive because he's not Trump. He doesn't have the backbone. He doesn't have the balls. He doesn't.
Who's a good VP pick?
Tulsi Gabbard can fix me. No,
I would
Fuller,
say John
no.
F. Kennedy Jr., but most people think he's
You mean
dead.
RFK Jr. or wait, no, JFK Jr.
JFK Jr., yes.
So he didn't die in the...
Oh god, she's one of those QAnoners. Oh god, dude.
Plane crash.
No. Do you know what was happening at the exact time his plane crashed?
Tell me everything.
He was running for the Senate seat against Hillary. Oh, imagine that. His plane crashed while he was running for office against Hillary. She's got a big body count.
Yeah, it's that I didn't know.
I was at Mount Rushmore when Trump was there July 3rd, 2020, and there are many people.
Look, QAnoners are effing crazy, chat. Like, just so far gone. Do not, like, if you encounter like a QAnoner, don't engage them. Like seriously, just do not engage. They're dangerous. Like they're the kind of people who will like bring you out to the middle of the woods and then like kill you with like a cattle piston. It's crazy, dude.
People high up, one of them happened to work with Melania for the child sex trafficking, David Straight, and he has said, which the backlash if he was lying would be more than it would be worth.
A QAnoner. Like people who believe in the anonymous ramblings of a guy on 4chan who posts under the alias of Q. Like if any of that sounded reputable, like you just don't know what 4chan is.
For him to make this claim, but they were all there at the event we were at. They said, along with Gene Ho, who is now the editor of George, and Donald Trump Jr. and John F. Kennedy Jr. were in the helicopter, and they let him off on top of Mount.
Yeah, true. They did get exiled to 8kun because they were so irritating, so irritating that it made other 4chaners mad at them. And there are very few things that can do that. I think the last time it happened was Gamergate, actually.
Mount Rushmore. I have a picture of it.
Well, what about RFK? You don't like him?
You know, he had a comment before about he agreed with the government taking over control of our utilities. Say like, the power grid was overloading.
Yeah.
They can go in and shut down your hot water heater.
So we don't trust RFK.
No.
What do you want to see Republicans do about all this whole climate change stuff?
It's a crock. All this electric vehicles is a
Of
joke.
course.
These people that are buying these electric cars, a battery when it goes out is $26,000. The rest of us people cannot afford that. The people can't afford the car, much less the dang battery. Their whole plan, along with the WF and the UN,
World Economic,
is to take away our cars because they don't want us to have it.
Do you think Biden's not doing enough drilling?
That ain't even Biden. Look at his pictures. Look at it. Look at his ears. It's not even the same person.
Oh, wait. No, tell me that. Wait.
Okay, look at a side-by-side picture of like 20 years ago and look at now. His earlobes, one of them is attached and the other is detached. 20 years ago, they were both detached. Look at his ears. Look at his face. A couple weeks ago, he went like this during one of the things, and his chin just kind of like went to goo. Another time, they were doing a...
You're saying he's reptilian or...
Got masks. It's masks. Our government's been using masks for a long time. Look at all the movies.
Oh, she's so far gone. She is so far gone. How do people like this even continue to operate in the real world?
He went like this, and it just kind of wrinkled up and then it came back down. There was a lady who works for the government that was in charge of doing the mask, and she said she went into a meeting with Obama in a full mask. Nobody ever knew it wasn't that person. They thought it was that person.
Being
so
100%
they can do
serious.
it. Nobody's who they appear to be in a lot of these things, but they're all installed.
I was like, they can't be just us. No one's protesting this?
They're probably floating around. That's a good question.
Around here, that's all.
Where's everyone
I
else?
have no idea. Well, there was what one officer was telling me until she found out I knew the law very well, because she was like, "You can't be over here, you can't be over there. We set up an area only for the First Amendment." And I said, "No." And I
Where's the First Amendment area?
so he's smart. He's like, "Well,
That's
where's?"
all-
So because there is an area that the one officer said on like 15th or something.
Yeah. Wait, we just got here. Where's the debate happening?
Huh?
Where's the debate happening?
Come on, like you don't know?
It's in there?
The Uniparty Convention! Woo!
The Uniparty.
Support the military-industrial complex! Yeah! Send your kids to protect somebody else's borders and leave ours wide open! Woo!
Why aren't you at the MAGA rally? Why aren't you with Trump? I just came from there.
You just came from there?
Yeah, I just came from there.
It's too late. Too late for me. I've been to just about all his rallies before when he was a candidate. Figured I'd come out here and show some support for my brother, Enrique Tarrio, Miami native, political prisoner, that they gave him 22 years, and he wasn't even there. And Ray Epps was saying, we gotta go into the Capitol. Huh? He's a plant! He's a plant! So Uniparty. Any mainstream media to me is, I don't even watch TV anymore. These are tough questions, and I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to them.
Where's everyone at?
I guess everyone's at the Trump thing. We need to worry about this here first before we start worrying about everybody else.
So no more money to Israel.
No more money to anybody. That's it. Close it up. Who's helping us out? Who's helping the American people out? This is like become like the job fair to the world. Come on in. Oh, you're having a tough time? We'll give you money. That's right there. It's like, that's a whole new one world kind of thing. The UN.
I just came from the rally over there.
Something. The UN.
I know. I was on both his campaigns in the past, and I'm on his campaign now. So I wanted to come down here to persuade, or at the very least, as I call it, educate all the Republicans here about why Trump should be.
Rhinos.
Yes, the rhinos. That's the proper term.
New World Order. Yeah, he was trying to do
stations today is that this way
like
you can
conspiratorial
look to see who's the best vice president, which
Jews
personally
are
I'm
running the world
rooting
stuff,
for Tim
but
Scott.
didn't
Tim
have the
Scott?
right
Yeah,
words
Tim
for
Scott, Nikki Haley's really good, but Tim Scott definitely. I was a fan of Vivek, but I saw that one of his books he wrote, he had talked negatively about Trump.
Vivek wants to raise the voting age to 25 and institute a civics test.
As incompetent as it seems society is, I don't believe that that would be necessary. The only thing we really need, the thing that would make the biggest difference is voter IDs laws. We need to have voter IDs. If you have to have an ID for a license, driver's license, or even to come over to this country to be a citizen, then you should have one to vote.
You think more people should be allowed to vote or less people?
I just think that everyone should be allowed to vote if you're a citizen. The thing when it comes to criminal penalties, people say that if you're a convicted felon that you lose the right to vote. Personally, I think that if that's the way the law was before a person committed a crime and then they are a convicted felon, then they know that they lost their opportunity to vote. However, if they want to change that and say, yes, you can vote as long as you pay any fines and fees you owe to the county or the state or whatever, then I'm all for that. So I'm all for everyone being able to
make
vote.
mistakes.
Yes, and I'm all for love and compassion and opportunity.
Yeah. And
as long as you're a citizen. Sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, as long as you.
All for compassion, as long as you're a citizen.
This is a great thing. This is something I thought of 2 ideas. These are great ideas, and I actually came up with this on my own. And I'm actually trying to pitch it very hard to a lot of wealthy people.
Yeah.
When it comes to the homeless population, I have a great idea. Make this happen. This is going to be incredible. It could be done by the county, the city, the state, or any wealthy entrepreneur can do this and say, you know what? Let's first start. Let's say Southwest Miami-Dade County, or just Miami-Dade. Period. Get build 2 apartment buildings. Put everything in their TVs, give them a cell phone, give them a laptop, food, clothing, everything that everybody else has, like a normal regular person. But this is the thing, we're going to teach them to do day trading or Forex trading, give them the skills to do online stuff, or if they want to, you can sell stuff on Amazon, whatever. Give them a way to make money that way, because a lot of people won't get a job because they haven't worked in a long time or they have a criminal background. Give everyone a chance. And then this is the thing, the money that they make, they give half to the person. If it's an entrepreneur, you want to make a business, you make money, I make money, you live free rent, that's it. And we can get people off the street. And then the only thing is, those who do have severe mental illnesses should definitely be sought after and given. And you know, I hate to use the word, but
he's cooking too close to the sun, chat. Just this is maybe the one thing that's worse than teach them to code. You know, teach them to day trade.
Force the mentally ill people into getting treatment. Because at the very least, we know that they're going to be bathed and then fed and have a roof over their head, and not on the street.
Otherwise, it becomes everyone else's.
Because I've offered people food and money that would rather eat out of a trash can, and those people are clearly mentally ill.
Yeah.
And the saying I like to go with anything, if anyone is going to quote me ever on anything, I would tell them to always quote me on this: that always process with your brain, but decide with your heart. Because your brain will make decisions that will sometimes lead you astray, but your heart, as difficult as it is sometimes, it'll always put you in the right position. You may suffer at times, but trust me, if you really do the decision with your heart, you're going to be better off in life. And just smile.
I mean, look, your heart can be in the right place, but when you're a libertarian, okay, like, you know, the heart in the right place is still going to wind up with absolutely batshit policies.
You know, I say love goes a long way. Love is for all or not at all. Peace.
Awesome, man. Thank you
so much. My name is Chauncey O'Connor.
Chauncey O'Connor.
Yes.
Thank you, man. No, I'm glad I spoke to you, man. The Elvis candidate? Elvis candidate.
The king. I think the people
I just saw Priscilla.
Today? Really?
I saw it the other day. We saw it
the real live Priscilla?
I saw the movie.
Oh, darn, I got to see that. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, no, I actually...
So you are Bill Lorsch,
yes.
And you're running as an Elvis candidate.
Well, I'm running for I'm going to give you 2 in case you want to keep one. You have to give one away. I was a state legislator for 10 years. I ran for governor in Wisconsin in 2002. I ran for U.S. Senate in 2000. I'm the victim of dirty campaigning. The big, powerful people that ran.
Well, what party were you?
I was a Republican. The bottom line is I don't like what's going on, and most of the American voters don't like what's going on. The majority of the people don't want to vote for any of the candidates that are running. They're waiting for someone like me. They're waiting for somebody who can give them a little flair, and that's the Elvis thing. You know.
So what's your platform on, like, healthcare?
You know, healthcare and nutritional programs for kids in school, all of those things, we need to turn it upside down. The way everything is going, and I used to work in Washington, D.C. I worked in the U.S. Congress. You know, I've got a very good resume for, I don't know, do you want me to wait till he goes by, or is that interfering with it? Sure.
Oh no, they suppressed the Elvis candidate. No. Oh god. God. Okay, we have. I'm about ready to be done, but I did find one thing that I just wanted to talk about. This it comes out as of like 2 hours ago from the New York Times, which is wild. But Biden is really clamping down on his statement that at the end of Israel's campaign of violence, there needs to be a two-state solution. Like he's trying to set up a scenario in which after this is over, the end result is a two-state solution with Israel and Palestine existing and coexisting in some form or fashion. Now, what exactly that will look like, completely unknown, right? How? So there aren't a ton of public details for obvious reasons, but the New York Times saying Biden says Palestinian state must be part of solution, which again is a pretty big deal for the president of the United States to say. So let's take a look here. President Biden said on Wednesday that the endpoint of the Israel-Hamas conflict has to be a Palestinian state that is real, existing alongside an Israeli one. He added that he and his aides have been negotiating with Arab nations on next steps, but did not give any details. So this is a little bit more than even, if he's negotiating this with other countries in the region, like, it's a real possibility, What I want to know, because I think there are a lot of benefits that would come with like official state status in an international sense, right? For example, like occupied West Bank could no longer be occupied, or like the Gaza Strip could no longer be like just summarily leveled in the fashion it is being leveled. There's a new Varoufakis interview in Al Jazeera about Israel and Palestine. Unfortunately, AOD, last time I went through an interview on stream on Al Jazeera, I got clapped with the strongest form of copyright strike that YouTube has available. So I can't cover Al Jazeera live on stream anymore. Maybe if it's like an article, I could go through it. But unfortunately, if it's a video segment, which I'm guessing it is, can't do that anymore. It's super unfortunate, but if I get 2 more of those, my channel gets deleted, and this one stays on my account for 90 days. So yeah. As an Arab, I wouldn't trust Arab leaders who negotiate with Bibi to hold Palestinian interest at heart. No, I wouldn't either. The main thing, though, is that even if it is a shitty deal for Palestinians, it's still a lot better than what they've had, like, since 1948. Like if you look at the map of like occupied West Bank, of like what is controlled by Israeli settlers and what's controlled by Palestinians, it is grim. It is grim. Like, they do not have autonomy in the West Bank. They obviously don't have autonomy in the Gaza Strip. Like, there's a lot of issues. They struck your channel instead of claiming the VOD revenue. Yep. That is correct. So, I don't know. I find this to be an interesting development, right? I can tell you, I don't think it ultimately ends until there's a two-state solution, Mr. Biden said at a news conference on an estate south of San Francisco after his summit with Xi Jinping, China's leader. Mr. Biden and Secretary of State Anthony J. Blinken have been publicly emphasizing the need for a two-state solution in recent days. The establishment of a Palestinian state has long been a U.S. policy goal, but no recent administration has succeeded in making any substantial headway on the issue. The last major push along those lines came from John Kerry when he was Secretary of State in the Obama administration. So this isn't necessarily like obviously it's not a step towards a ceasefire, but I do think that there is a very good chance that this could be something enforced by, force behind, this could be enforced by the United States, which I think is a game-changing thing to have happen. I think there's zero chance Israel goes to the 67 borders unless the USA is willing to do severe sanctions against them. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think that, frankly, there has been a growing rift between Biden and Israel on this, and I think that there is a decent chance that U.S. diplomatic pressure is going to be turning much more harshly against Israel. Now, I don't know what that could accomplish, but I think that the potential of what it could accomplish is pretty big. Well, yeah, no. If Biden loses in 2024, like, Trump will tell Bibi Netanyahu to, like, glass the Palestinians. Like, that's like that. Like, if this goes anywhere, if Biden loses, like, it's not going to happen. But yeah, it'll just be apartheid that is enforced by the U.S. for as long as hundreds of thousands of settlers in the West Bank exist. I don't think that's true. I don't know that would be true, because the reason the apartheid currently exists in West Bank is because West Bank is occupied by Israel. The question of the settlements would be, like, whether or not the settlements are controlled by the Israelis or not. Like, are they going to be considered part of Israel? And my thinking on that is probably not, right? Like, when Israel pulled out of the Gaza Strip, they dismantled settlements, and which means AIPAC is probably coming after Biden. They have already announced that they are dropping $100 million into the 2024 election. So yes, that is already happening. Those gears are already turning. Are you saying that they should lose their Israeli citizenship? No, I'm saying that if they continue to live in the occupied West Bank, if that becomes, like, a new Palestinian state, obviously the settlements that they currently live in would be governed by that new Palestinian state, not Israel. At this point, all candidates are so pro-Israel, it'd make no difference. See, I genuinely don't think that is true. Like, I think that there is actually a pretty big difference between, like, a Joe Biden and, like, a Donald Trump as regards, like, Israel and, like, what should be done. Those settlers aren't going anywhere. They're psychopathic extremists. I mean, yes, that's true. However, I think, again, and this is what I'm trying to articulate, and I'm getting angry, so I think I might need to go to bed because it is 4 a.m. What I'm trying to articulate here is that if the United States backs a two-state solution and actually bothers to try and enforce that, and, like, puts troops on the ground to enforce a two-state solution in favor of Palestinians, or, like, gets UN troops to enforce, like, to reinforce a Palestinian state, like, I think that makes a meaningful difference in, like, the calculation of that area of the world. If West Bank becomes fully sovereign Palestinian territory, Israel has no say in anything that happens inside its border, and it's not sovereign, or it's not sovereignty. Exactly. That's why Joe Biden advocating for a two-state solution right now is actually pretty important, especially considering that obviously what Israel is trying to do right now is, like, have a one-state solution sans Palestinians. Oh yeah, no, Ukrainian AIPAC absolutely is willing to endorse Republicans. They back anyone as long as they agree with the policy goal. Yeah, exactly, Christinos. We'll have to see what happens. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm sorry, I can't see the future, guys. All I'm saying is that there's a big distinction between Donald Trump essentially advocating for like creating a actual death camp in the Middle East where they systematically kill every single Palestinian, versus like Joe Biden, who is currently moving farther away from the Israeli position, which frankly has been unheard of for like the last decade in American politics. Shit is grim either way, though. Oh, absolutely. I'll just take slightly less grim. I'll take movement in the direction of less grim is good. We don't even know how or when the war will end. Well, that's part of what makes Joe Biden talking about a two-state solution so interesting, right? Because a two-state solution is putting forward, at the very least, how an end condition of this would look. As opposed to kowtowing to the Israeli position, which is, again, as we all know, a one-state solution without Palestinians. They want to eliminate Palestinian presence in the Gaza Strip so they can annex it. Like, that's their explicit position. Yeah, honestly, like, laying out an end state that isn't just the Israeli position is a fairly major break, and willingly saying that publicly and talking about how they are working with international partners to make that happen, like, that is like meaningful movement. It's not just like inconsequential. It's not just language. It's actual diplomatic maneuvering that we're talking about. And I view that as positive. It's not enough. It's definitely not enough, but it's better than what's happening. But they'll still get Gaza. They want that gas and path for their new canal so bad. I don't know. Again, like, Biden just said this like an hour ago and did not give any details about what a two-state solution would look like. I imagine that's what the negotiations are about. And that's, yeah. But I would imagine the current position is allow Palestinians to have and control the Gaza Strip, while also governing West Bank and East Jerusalem. Holy crap, you up late, girl? I am. Which Arab countries are Jews allowed in? I mean, most of them. Can't think of one off the top of my head that explicitly denies Jewish people from existing within their borders. Hey, Dark Devil. You would have to force Israelis to allow Palestinians in the government. Yeah, that's the thing, right? But a two-state solution, I think, frankly, I'm just shocked that we're seeing major breaks with Israel that are public now. That's a pretty big difference from how things were even like a month ago. Closest would be Saudi Arabia, which I think doesn't allow non-Muslim worship in parts of their territory because they have two major pilgrimage sites. Yeah. I mean, Saudi Arabia is bad in a lot of different ways, but that's probably the one that's closest. Yeah, probably. Sorry I'm late. How's dystopia? Awful. I feel horrible. Biden is challenged. I mean, I wouldn't say that Biden is challenging the establishment. I would just say that Biden is not in lockstep with Israel, which is meaningful, and furthermore, he's advocating for Palestinians in a way that I've frankly never seen a president do. Clearly, again, not enough. He needs to be advocating for a ceasefire, but again, advocating for a two-state solution is more than I've seen a president do in my voting lifetime. So, yeah. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm rambling. Him not calling for one is hemorrhaging him votes? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like Clinton tried, but he wasn't willing to make any firm demands on Israel. Well, yeah, and like again, domestic Israeli politics like scuttled a lot of what Clinton was trying to do, right? Like publicly Benjamin Netanyahu has talked about one of his proudest moments being the scuttling of like the peace talks. Okay, I'm glad, Ukrainian. I feel like I've been struggling this stream to be understood, and I feel bad about it. It's the autism.
Thank you so much for staying up so late to stream, Jack.
Yeah, no problem. The autism makes it one of the things that makes it difficult for me is when I'm trying to convey something and I feel I'm unsuccessfully conveying what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense. Like that's one of the things that makes me autistically frustrated. I appreciate you too, Forlorn. Thanks for being here. Same, that's why I just stopped talking in school. Yeah, Cross-Crescent Creed. I understand. I was literally until high school. Like I think right in maybe like the year before high school, I basically just was a relatively quiet child. When I was in middle school, I'd just walk around listening to show tunes on my Walkman. And like wore just like sweatpants and like baggy shirts and stuff. It was not my finest hour. Just stream and being you. Going back to bed. Well, have a good night sleep, Darkstar Mike. I can't wait to get back to my bed. Kyrie, thank you for the 2 gifted tier 1 subs. I appreciate it. And folks, remember to hit the follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit the like button on the stream. I know it's been kind of wonky tonight, but now we have a new streaming location, and should be easier in the future. And yeah. To be quite honest, I've had that same issue too. I used to think the longest time that I wasn't autistic, but I'm beginning to rethink now because I've learned so much over the past few years or so. I have ADD too, as long suspected. Honestly, I only found out I was autistic like maybe a year and a half ago. And my mom apparently suspected that I had been autistic for like my entire life. And my therapist brought up that like, hey, you're kind of matching a lot of these categories. I was like, huh. Interesting. Oh, that sounds really cozy, Nikolai Prime. Ended Twitch stream, dove into bed, opened riverboat.gg on the bedside Mac Mini. Now under 3 blankies and still shivering. Well, that doesn't sound cozy. The still shivering bit. Yes, please get all of the cozies. Best of luck, Fenry. All right, folks, I'm going to get to bed. You all have a good one. We're going to raid into Casafel VT. Y'all have fun with that little goblin. Bye. Boom.